Hello guys and welcome to a very special brand new video related feature here at NGB. We're calling it Replay, where we look back at some past games on the PS3 and 360. Not retro, not quite retro, but this is Replay with NGB. I'm your host Asim. Got Mr. Gary Clark with me. Gary, how you doing?
All good, mate. All good.
Good, good, good. Brand new video feature. We're kicking it off Replay by looking at one of the best games of this generation, Uncharted 2. Gary, I know you're a huge fan of Uncharted 2. This great intro section. You know, it was you who was playing this, so this footage is you actually playing it. So if anything fucks up, it's your fault completely.
It is my fault, yeah. If it looks dodgy, then blame me. Yeah.
It's a spectacular. I mean, what I remember about this when I first saw this section was like, wow, the whole setup, the whole train, the snow, everything. And
Mm.
it was pure, just pure epicness, really. Well,
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal the way they've put it together. I remember. I think this was it unveiled at E3 2009, I believe.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I just remember thinking, wow, this is incredible. It's just the way it's so cinematic, but at the same time, you
Yeah,
can't believe you're actually interacting with something that looks that good. It's still and when I played it recently for this video, it still stands up. The quality of it is phenomenal. It really is something special.
yeah. I think the thing about this opening section is that I think you nailed it on the head there, which is kind of the Uncharted series as a whole. It's quite cinematic, but like this opening section, you're not really controlled. Like it's if you want to be harsh to it, it's pretty much on rails for the start. You're like, or you're moving, you're pretty much just moving up and down.
It is,
But
yeah.
but the feeling you get, that sense of dread is still there. So like he's climbing up here, things are falling apart, and like that sheer sense of dread is still there. It's like
Mm,
it's like you felt, oh crap, he might fall down. He won't, unless you completely fuck up. Uh,
exactly.
he won't fall down. But it just, even though it was kind of on rails, you still felt really epic.
And you see it, yeah, like you say, it was on rails, but you still felt like you were sort of part of it. You was sort of interacting with it. Um, but obviously, yeah, it was just sort of one outcome, really, what was going to happen. But just the whole experience of that opening scene was just incredible.
Yeah, and the way it all sort of linked, because this is like the way Uncharted 2 flows is like this is the opening of the game, but this is actually in terms of the timeline of the game, this is actually a bit forward on into
Yeah.
what happens. So like like this section happens, and as you see here, um, Nathan Drake just about escapes and gets gets onto the snow and just climbs on. But it just kind of starts off here, so it goes back in time, and the whole setup of it was just awesome as well at the time, I think.
Incredible. So I still think this is just like the pinnacle of sort of this current gen.
Yeah,
Just the whole story, the whole character development is just fantastic. And that opening scene, like we said, just sort of set the tone for the rest of the game.
it did indeed. And as you said, it sort of goes back in time after that. It goes into like a little cutscene here, and we meet some shady characters uh,
Hmm.
from Drake's past, trying to get into get some treasure for him. I think we sort of find out afterwards. Yeah, they are shady characters, especially. But Chloe, I mean, it's the lovable Chloe. You know,
You can't hate Chloe.
jeans tighter than I'm not really sure what you can compare it to. Uh, but yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
those jeans are pretty much painted on, I think.
Yeah, I think they were. I think they were painted on. But yeah, I think this whole setup is like they sort of going to the museum. But again, it sort of relays back to what Uncharted. I mean, the first one was a good game, but this one sort of upped it.
It
Uh,
was. I think like the first Enchanted, it was just like a stepping stone, sort of like a marker to sort of see where they could go with it. And obviously, it actually turned out the original game was like a sort of a cult classic because it was quite unheard of at the time. And then yeah, Enchanted 2 come along, and you could see that it was just like completely blown everything else out of the water. So
I was just looking at Chloe's bum there, but as you sort of went past that. But anyway,
pervert.
we move on to probably like again one of the actually best sections. This is probably my favorite sections of the game. I think it's in Nepal, isn't it?
It is.
Sort of the streets of I think again this section was shown off at one of the E3s.
It was, yeah.
And it was just everything about it. Like you got the whole you got the flags waving in the background, and there's like this incredible lighting effects and smoke effects going on in the background as well. And then there's some epic gun action as well. Like it's just this section was by far my favorite.
Yeah, the thing that I remember most about this section when I first see it in the trailer was just how detailed it looked. Incredible. It's phenomenal. And yeah, like yourself, this is one of my favourite sections of the game by quite some distance, to be honest.
This comes through, takes everyone out, and makes it a bit easy for you. And yeah, again, just the details. Still to this, again, I'm watching this and thinking, yeah, the detail is just still, as you said, it's quite amazing. Look, like the wind's blowing and the flags are sort of moving across.
It's insane.
And even when you're climbing up, the textures still, it's not, it's PS3. It's not. This isn't a high-end PC. It's a PS3. I think Naughty Dog got the best, almost the best. I think Uncharted 3 was pretty much on. I think there was a few things they did not nice visually, but I think this is where it was a step up from 1.
Yeah, definitely. The only thing in Uncharted 3 they seem to sort of make look quite a bit better was the sort of a facials side of it. But apart from that, I think they were very sort of close in terms of like the look.
Yeah, and you got. I mean, this is one. I think I remember this section as when I first played it. This is the sort of section where you're going through the water and you're trying to. I think there was like a middle section with trees and a lake around. There was guys coming from everywhere. I think eventually you go on to this point. Believe it or not, this is one of the sections of the games that I didn't really enjoy as much as the rest.
It's quite strange because I was a bit like that myself. It was okay. It didn't sort of stand out like Nepal did for me. But it was just okay.
Yeah,
I can sort of remember this. I remember this section on the video, but I can't remember much else. Which says it all really. It could sort of be a bit like sort of unforgettable.
Yeah, this is the exact part I'm talking about, where you're like, there's trees around you, there's a hut in the middle, and there's like guys coming from everywhere. I remember this exact part dying quite a bit. The guys at the top as well shooting you, and there's guys coming from pretty much everywhere, and there's cover, but the cover's only there. It only keeps you like safe for a while because there's guys coming from everywhere.
They are coming from all directions, to be fair.
Did pretty well. You threw a grenade up there. What? Hanging on. Skills. Techers, Gary.
Techers, mate. Techers. I'll be honest though, I think I had a couple of attempts on that.
Of course you would. Again, you got sort of relays back to the streets of Nepal again. I think we're in. Because this is actually, even though that section we saw first with like the flags and stuff and everything, this is actually quite a long section, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And there's guys with shields and stuff as well. I do remember it now.
God, yeah, those guys with shields. Oh.
It's all coming back. And then we meet, obviously we get reunited with Elena. Lovely Elena.
His sweetheart as such.
But there's a I'm not sure if you'll be playing it later on, but there's a section where you have to sort of carry her, which is actually again one of my favorite sections of the game. I think is it her or is it the cameraman you have to carry?
It's the cameraman, yeah.
Yeah. That is a spectacular section as well.
Yeah, and you're just getting pretty much blown to smithereens as you're carrying some cameraman.
And then the section that everyone loves, the train.
Amazing.
The train. Gary, what is it about the train section that you love?
It's just the way the whole sort of scene moves, and it's just so interactive. And I don't know, it's hard to explain really, but it's just the whole sort of setting of it, and it just feels like a sort of action movie. You're part of an action movie. 100%. It's incredible.
Because you're working your way from the back to the front pretty much, and then you've got guys coming as you obviously move forward, and then the train obviously, happens to the train as you do an action movie or action game, and then the helicopter comes along. It is. I can totally understand why this, all the reviews and all the after everyone played it, the train section. And when even Uncharted 3 came out, people were like, yeah, it didn't have a a sort of a section like the train.
Mm.
It was sort of in the like Naughty Dog's Achilles heel afterwards. It was like, yeah, they kind of have to live up to this now with Uncharted 3, which I think they did a good job of. But this section just did stand out.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Especially this section coming up in a second. It's just the way they sort of crafted it together is brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic.
Let's just take it in. Let's just take it in, man. Take it in.
That is phenomenal.
It is. It is. It is. So yeah, half the train floats apart, which is interesting. And
Wouldn't
again,
want to be on that train.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the London Underground on like a rush hour. And this is so we're sneaking into the museum. Well, we get sort of. I know I won't say Nathan gets tricked into going into the museum, but he kind of gets drawn into going there and like stealing like the stuff for this guy over here. I actually forget this guy's name. Do you remember his name?
Finn.
Finn. Yeah, he's a typical English bad guy, wasn't he?
Well, I don't know if he's English or Australian. I can't really remember.
He came across as English to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was a bit, sort of a little bit of both of him.
Well, you guys, if you know, and you're watching the video, just sort of comment. That's not Australian.
But you know,
yeah, maybe he's French. Yeah. And that he's French.
I think he was shady.
He was a shady, yeah. And there was, I think, one of the things that annoyed me about this section was they kind of tried to shoehorn a stealth element into it, which I know I'm not sure what you thought about.
Yeah, it
didn't really go with the rest of the game. I thought
it didn't, no, because obviously Uncharted sort of this action.
Yeah.
Action. And unless you've got the sort of right mechanics for stealth, it's pretty difficult to pull off, I think, and it didn't really work. Yeah.
But it didn't last too long, and it didn't really affect the game too much. But again, we sort of mentioned, like, you know, it sort of goes back in time and all that sort of stuff into the, you know, from the start to the middle to the end, all that sort of stuff. And again, where like this section in the snow, you meet this dude over here. I think this was again quite one of my favorite sections. Although it goes a bit supernatural, a bit weird at this point. So you get like, crazy ass monster,
crazy sort of beast looking.
Yeah. But it was and I think what Naughty Dog tried to show off here was their really impressive snow effects. So every time you were like taking a footstep here or there were like a sort of your footprints left in the snow. But it was quite impressive, and that sort of moved on in Uncharted 3. They went to the sand thing. But again, this is another really. I think what again you mentioned like the action movie stuff. It had this Indiana Jones mummy feel about it.
Definitely, yeah. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And this is the ending. This is the thing that was the only really bad thing about this game.
I didn't like. It's about 3/4 of the way in. It just like you say, it starts to go a bit odd. If that makes sense. But it was the same with Uncharted 1.
Yeah, it was. You're right.
I don't know why they sort of done it, but they've obviously got their reasons. But yeah, this part, it's a bit.
Yeah, because they didn't really have any like. It was just like a normal action, and they didn't really need a boss fight. I thought.
Exactly.
It didn't. Even though this guy was the sort of the main bad guy, and there was like these supernatural elements to it, and they wanted to introduce that. It's sort of, it just sort of
it's very strange.
Yeah, it didn't match up to the rest of the game. But
exactly.
That aside, this ending section was pretty cool.
Awesome.
So everything's falling apart, and I think they kind of went down the same route with Uncharted 3 as well. When towards the end, like everything's breaking apart, and you're trying to fight your way out, and these like things are trying to kill you.
They seem to, and Naughty Dog seem to like their sort of epic sort of endings, don't they? So,
yeah.
And they definitely pulled it off with this section.
They did indeed. But and the ending, who got the ending? The clowns. He's afraid of clowns. But we're coming to an end.
Yes.
And this is the first replay section, first replay episode. Cheers, Gary, for being here.
Thank you very much. No problem.
And we'll be back with episode 2, but we're not going to tell you which game it is. It'll be a surprise. But we will be back with episode 2 soon. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.